The crash landing roomate Jake Turner was not expecting anything strange that night. He was just a mechanic on Space Station Delta 9, working the night shift and drinking too much coffee. Life was simple. Fix things, sleep late, and avoid talking to weird neighbors. At 2:37 a.m., something changed. A loud thump echoed through his small apartment. Jake jumped up from the bed, eyes wide, heart racing. What the hell was that? He grabbed the nearest thing, an old wrench, and tiptoed toward the sound. It had come from his ceiling. He looked up. Then, the ceiling vent burst open. Something or someone fell straight onto him with a crash. Oof! Jake groaned as he hit the floor, pinned under. A person? No, not just a person. She was tall, glowing slightly, and her skin had a strange shimmer like moonlight trapped in glass. Her eyes, large and silver, looked at him for a second. Then, in a soft voice, she whispered, "You are the only safe location," and then she passed out. Jake lay there, frozen, blinking up at the unconscious alien girl who had just fallen on him. It was the most natural thing in the world. "Well, that's new," he muttered. 10 minutes later, she was on his couch, wrapped in a blanket. Jake stood nearby, holding a steaming mug of tea like a nervous host. He had checked her pulse. She was alive, breathing slow and steady. Her skin was cold but slowly warming up. Alien? Definitely. Dangerous? Possibly. He considered calling station security. But then, what would he say? "Hey, space cops." A glowing girl fell through my ceiling and said weird stuff before passing out. "Wants to arrest her?" "Yeah, that would go great." Instead, he sat across from her and waited. Slowly, her eyes opened. "Where?" she whispered, sitting up quickly, then wincing in pain. "You fell through my ceiling," Jake said. "Landed on my face. 10 out of 10 landing." She looked around, confused. Then her eyes met his. "I had no other choice. You were the only safe point within the zone, right?" "Because I screamed safety," Jake said, raising an eyebrow. "Who are you?" She hesitated. "My name is Sarai. I am not from around here," Jake laughed. "No kidding." She stood slowly, wobbling. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to involve you, but I had no other option." "They are looking for me." "Who's they?" Jake asked. "And what do you mean, safe point?" "I'm just a mechanic. I fix broken stuff, like coffee machines, not aliens." "You're not just anything," she said, looking at him like she knew something he didn't. "They didn't detect you. That means your signal is clean. Your biology is untouched." Jake blinked. "Okay, now you're officially speaking." "Space nonsense." Sarai looked around the room, checking corners and shadows. "I don't have much time. If they find me, they'll erase this entire sector." "Erase what? Like delete people? Like Control-Alt-Delete humanity?" She nodded, deadly serious. Jake ran a hand through his hair. "Lady, I don't know who you are, but you're seriously messing up my night." Suddenly, a high-pitched noise rang through the room. Sarai's eyes widened. "No," she said. "They're scanning. Already? That fast?" Jake ran to the window. A strange light swept across the buildings outside, bright and blue, almost silent. "Is that them?" Sarai grabbed his arm. "We have to block the signal. Do you have any shielding materials? Lead? Old tech? Anything analog?" I have a microwave." "Perfect." 10 minutes later, Jake was stuffing his wall communicator into an unplugged microwave while Sarai arranged foil over the windows. "I can't believe this," he muttered. "I was gonna sleep until noon. Now you'll survive until noon," she replied. Once they were done, Sarai sat down on the floor and sighed. "I'm sorry," she said again. "You didn't ask for this, you think?" He looked at her for a long moment. She looked tired, afraid, but also calm, like she had done this before. "Why me?" he asked. "Out of everyone on the station, why fall on me?" Sarai looked at him, and for the first time, she smiled. "Because you were dreaming about falling stars," she said. Jake froze. "How do you know that?" She leaned her head back, eyes closing. "I was in your dream. Just for a second. You saw me before I landed." Then she drifted into sleep. Jake stood there, completely unsure what was happening anymore. Outside, the blue scan light disappeared. Inside, a glowing alien girl slept peacefully on his couch. Jake looked up at the broken vent in his ceiling, then at her. "Yup," he muttered. "Definitely not getting my deposit back." Roommate rules and red flags. Jake was not sleeping. Of course he wasn't. There was an alien girl glowing on his couch like a radioactive jellyfish, and every time she breathed, the lights flickered. He sat at the kitchen table, sipping cold coffee, and staring at her like she might suddenly explode into lasers. She didn't. She just slept, like a peaceful, glowing, interstellar problem. Jake sighed. "What even are you?" The morning alarm buzzed at 6 o'clock. Jake almost threw his mug at it. Sarai woke up slowly, blinking at the ceiling. "You're still here," she said. "You fell through my ceiling," Jake replied. "Where else would I be? Mars?" She sat up. "I'm glad. It means they haven't traced me yet." Jake rubbed his temples. "Okay, let's try this again. You said people were hunting you. You used my apartment as a safe point. You glowed. You zapped my toaster. And now, we're hiding from a space scan using tinfoil and kitchen appliances. Is that all correct?" She nodded seriously. "Yes. You did well." "I wasn't trying to do well," he said. "I was just trying to not die of confusion." Later that morning, Jake skipped work and took her out. In disguise, he found her some old clothes, his hoodie, baggy pants, and a baseball cap. She looked like a fashion disaster, also like a 6-foot-tall elf trying to cosplay as a human. "You look like a tourist from Planet Walmart," he said. "I feel itchy," she replied. "Human clothes have too many seams." They stepped out into the station's lower levels. Crowded, dirty, noisy, exactly the kind of place no bounty hunter wanted to search. Jake led her to a quiet food corner. "Okay, we're in public. Try not to do anything weird." Sarai immediately poked a live power socket. "Ow." Jake pulled her hand away. "What the hell was that?" "I wanted to see if human energy was edible." "It's not." They sat at a noodle stall. Jake slurped hot soup while Sarai stared at a spoon like it was a puzzle. Then, she asked something strange. "Do you know what a void reclaimer is?" Jake blinked. "No, sounds like a garbage collector in space." "It's not." Her voice went quiet. "They are ancient, lost to history. They wake only when the balance tips. When light and void collide." Jake stared. "Still sounds like a space garbage collector." Sarai looked him in the eyes. "You might be one." He laughed. "Me? No, barely qualified to fix vending machines." "You dream differently. That's the first sign." "Oh, come on, Jake," she said. "Serious now. Didn't just fall on you by chance. I was guided to you. You're undetectable, off-grid. That's extremely rare. And your mind, your dreams carry echoes, like someone who is built to be more." Jake dropped his spoon. This was getting way too deep for noodles. As they walked back toward his apartment, Jake noticed something. A man was following them, not just walking behind, mirroring their steps. Every turn, every stop, every pause. "Don't look behind," he whispered. "But we've got a tail." "I feel it," Sarai said calmly. "His aura's fractured." "That sounds concerning." "It is." They made it back to the building, took the back stairs, closed the door behind them. Jake leaned against it, breathing fast. "What now?" Sarai walked up to the vent she fell from last night. "They're coming. Sooner than I thought." "Can we run?" "No, they'll track movement. Best to stay quiet. For now." Jake turned to her. "Okay, if you're staying here, we need to set some ground rules." She raised an eyebrow. "Rules?" "Yeah. Rule 1. Don't touch electricity. Rule 2. No glowing when guests are over. Rule 3. No vent falling." She smiled faintly. "Understood." He paused. "And Rule 4. Tell me the truth. No more cryptic dream talk." "What are you really?" Sarai hesitated. Then she placed a glowing hand on his chest. "Not threatening. Gentle. Jake, your heart holds a map. A real one. Hidden deep inside. That's why they want me. That's why I need you." "Me?" She nodded. "I'm not the mission," she said. "You are." Suddenly, boom. The door exploded. Smoke. Dust. Red lights. Jake was thrown across the room. In the chaos, a dark figure stepped through the smoke. 7 feet tall, arm red eyes glowing like warning signals. A bounty hunter. Return the asset, it said in a deep, mechanical voice. Sarai stood up slowly, calm, cold. I'm not an asset, she said. Energy sparked from her fingertips. Jake groaned from the floor. Oh, now would be a good time for that glowing stuff. The hunter raised its arm. A plasma cannon. Sarai raised hers. Nothing but light. The room flashed white. When Jake opened his eyes, the bounty hunter was gone. Just gone. Only a burn mark on the floor. Sarai collapsed. Jake rushed to her. Are you okay? She smiled faintly. Too much energy. But I'm fine. He looked at the burn mark. What did you do to him? I rewrote his signal. Erased his code. He can't return. Not like that. Jake stared at her. That's terrifying. She looked at him. Eyes soft now. I told you, Jake. I'm not the only one in danger now. She passed out again. Jake stood over her. Heart pounding, mind racing. He was just a guy with a wrench. Now, he was a target, a map, and apparently, part of something ancient. He looked down at her, glowing faintly. Roommate of the year, he whispered. Powers, pranks, and paranoia. Jake Turner had seen a lot of things working on Space Station Delta 9. Broken coffee machines, flaming vending units, a raccoon once stuck in a food chute. But nothing prepared him for an alien roommate who vaporized a bounty hunter using light from her fingers. That was new. Sarai had slept for 13 hours after the blast. Jake barely moved from her side. He had questions too many, but they were building up like pressure inside a busted fuel tank. When she finally opened her eyes, her first words were, "Did you water the plants?" Jake blinked. "You were unconscious for half a day, and you're worried about plants? They're living too," she said seriously. "Every life matters." Okay, Space Gandhi. But next time, warn me before you throw a light grenade. In my living room, after a small breakfast, Jake had cereal. Sarai had 3 spoons of salt. They sat across from each other. Jake leaned forward. All right, truth time. All of it. No riddles. No poetic dream mumbo jumbo. Sarai nodded. Ask. Jake took a deep breath. What are you? She paused. I'm a hybrid. Human designed, alien enhanced. My creators wanted a bridge between species. A way to survive. When war comes, Jake's eyes widened. War? Yes. It's already started. Quietly. You just don't see it yet. But soon, Earth and its colonies will feel it. The others are preparing. Jake ran a hand through his hair. You mean aliens? Other species? She nodded. They're testing Earth's defenses, pushing its borders. You think all the missing space probes are just malfunctions? Jake whistled. Great. So I'm living with a glowing alien spy, and the galaxy is one bad sneeze away from exploding. Sarai tilted her head. You're adapting while not adapting. I'm panicking on the inside. For the next few days, things were weird. Sarai became more curious about Earth life. She watched old Earth TV shows and tried to mimic accents. Her British butler voice was terrifying. She poked electrical sockets again. She even tried cooking. She boiled socks. Jake never figured out why. But what really shook Jake were the powers. It started small. One day, he lost his cum chip under the couch. Sarai simply pointed at the floor, and the chip floated out like it was tied to invisible strings. Jake just stared. Did you just telekinesis that? Telly what? Never mind. Please don't do that when I'm holding hot coffee. Then came the dreams. Jake started having strange visions every night. He was flying through stars. He saw symbols, alien writing. He touched planets. He heard Sarai's voice in his dreams, calling his name like a whisper in space. Sometimes, she'd be waiting at the breakfast table and say, "Interesting dream last night." Jake nearly choked on his toast the first time. "You're in my head? Not on purpose," she said softly. "But your mind is open, untethered, like mine." Jake backed away. "I don't like that." "I do," she said with a faint smile. He gulped. Things got tense when Jake noticed it. Someone had been in their apartment. Nothing was missing, but a photo frame was turned the wrong way. The microwave had a new scratch. His socks were moved. He wasn't imagining it. Sarai checked the vents. Her glow dimmed. They're sniffing the area again. Another faction. Not bounty hunters. Worse, she told him about them. Collectors. They didn't care about law or bounty, they cared about technology. They hunted hybrids. Ancient weapons, genetic keys. Jake, apparently, was a genetic key. No pressure, he muttered. Just casually being a walking galactic treasure map. That night, Sarai set traps, not weapon signals. If anyone stepped within a 10-meter radius, she'd feel it. Jake, trying to lighten the mood, asked, "Do any of these traps shoot lasers?" Sarai looked confused. "Why would I warn the enemy before I erase them?" Jake raised his eyebrows. Note to self, never prank her with fake spiders. Then came the incident. Jake returned home late after visiting an old friend on the station. Sarai wasn't in the apartment. That was odd. Even stranger, his old device buzzed. One he hadn't used in years. He picked it up. Static. Then a robotic voice. Key located. Prepare for extraction. His blood ran cold. Suddenly, a figure burst through the side window, a collector, not mechanical, but organic. Insect-like, with limbs that bent wrong. Jake screamed. Sarai, the creature lunged. Just as it reached him, boom, Sarai appeared in a burst of light. She teleported into the room. The walls bent. The air sizzled. Her hands sparked with energy. Not light. Fire. Leave him, she said, voice layered with something inhuman. The collector hissed and struck. Sarai caught its claw with one hand and burned it to ash. Jake stared in shock. "You can teleport now?" Sarai panted. "Only once a day, maybe twice if I'm lucky." The collector tried to crawl away. Sarai stopped it with a look. "You entered the wrong timeline." She snapped her fingers. The creature was gone. Gone. As in never existed. Jake fell to the floor, gasping. "Okay, now I'm adapting. I'm adapting by screaming." She sat beside him, resting her head on her knees. "They're getting braver." Jake looked at her, shaking. "What happens when they stop sending scouts?" Sarai's eyes glowed softly. "Then they send armies. Past lives and present." Least Jake Turner couldn't sleep. That was nothing new lately. But this time, it wasn't because of glowing alien girls, space bounty hunters, or interdimensional cockroach ninjas. That's what he decided the last one was. No, this time was the silence. Too quiet. No station hum. No water drips. Not even Sarai pacing around like she usually did at night. He got out of bed and peeked into the living room. She was sitting in the dark, alone, staring out the window at the stars like they were old friends she didn't know how to talk to anymore. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. She didn't turn. "I don't sleep. I remember." Jake walked over slowly. "You okay?" "No," she said honestly. "But I will be." That was new. Sarai didn't usually admit weakness. She'd rather eat sand. He sat beside her on the floor. For a long moment, they just looked out into space together. Then she said something strange. "You've died before, Jake." He blinked. "Okay, wow, that's a weird opener. Can we circle back to that with coffee first?" "I mean it. You've died. Or someone like you. Someone exactly like you." Jake stared at her. "You're saying I'm a clone?" "No," she said. "Something older, more rewritten." She stood and walked over to a glowing crystal on the table. It hadn't been there before. Jake stepped back instinctively. "Please don't tell me that's a space grenade." "It's a memory core," she said. "From my old ship. I risked everything to retrieve it before I landed here." She touched it. And the room changed. Not physically, but mentally. Like a wave of images passed through Jake's mind. Flashes, faces, planets burning. A version of himself in armor, leading something, commanding forces. Then a voice his own saying, "We can't let the gate fall into their hands." And then, silence. The images stopped. Jake fell back against the couch, panting. "What was that?" "Your past life," Sarai said softly. "I have a past life?" "Many," she said. "You're part of a genetic line that carries memory echoes. You've been reborn over centuries, modified, hidden, forgotten. Until now." Jake looked at his hands like they might start glowing too. So I'm some ancient hero? No, she said. You were a failure. Jake flinched. Well, that's brutally honest. You were supposed to open the gate, but you died. You weren't ready. Jake sat back, stunned. And now, Sarai looked at him with eyes that shimmered like broken glass. Now, you might be. She finally told him the full truth. She wasn't just a hybrid, she was a guardian, one of the last created to protect what remained of a dying alliance between species. The gate, this ancient structure they kept mentioning, was a failsafe, a beacon, a weapon, a portal. No one truly knew. But when humanity had first touched the stars, they found it, and something inside reacted to people like Jake. People who weren't just human. Sarai had been bred to locate him, or someone like him. It took her 27 years and 3 near deaths to do it. Why me? Jake asked, voice quieter now. I'm just a guy with a wrench. I can't even fix my shower right now. Sarai smiled faintly. Because you have something. No clone, no AI, no Star General has. Really? What's that? She touched his chest again. A heart that doesn't give up. He stared at her, and for the first time she looked scared. Jake, she whispered, they're coming again, but this time, I don't think I can stop them. The next night, everything changed. Jake was repairing his comlink when Sarai froze mid-step. What's wrong? He asked. They've sent a purifier. Jake frowned. That doesn't sound friendly. They're not, she said. It means they've given up trying to capture us. Now, they want to clean the slate. Jake stood. You mean, like, erase us? She nodded. And everything nearby. Just then, the walls shook. The station's alarm blared. Unidentified energy signature detected. Non-corporate vessel approaching. Defensive protocols activated. Outside the window, a black ship floated into view. No lights. No windows. Just shadow. Jake's voice dropped to a whisper. Is that the purifier? Sarai's face was pale. Yes. He looked at her. What do we do? She didn't answer. Instead, she opened the glowing crystal again and handed it to him. What's this for? It'll show you the location. The gate. If I don't make it, you have to go. No? No way, Jake said. We're not doing the you stay behind scene. This isn't a sad movie. We don't have time for stubbornness, she said, already glowing. If they capture me, they'll extract every code I carry. She kissed his forehead, a strange, warm touch that made time seem to pause. Run, she said. Then she disappeared. In a flash of white light, Jake stood there, heart thudding. The door burst open. 2 armored beings stepped in, taller than the last, faceless, like walking statues of war. They didn't speak. They just moved toward him. Jake held the crystal in his hand, and something inside it pulsed. For the first time, he felt something inside him click, like a puzzle piece finding its match. He raised his hand. The air shimmered, and the crystal glowed like a rising star. That Hunter arrivist moment Jake raised the crystal. The world around him changed. The walls trembled. The light bent. For a few heartbeats, it felt like reality held its breath. And then boom, the 2 armored beings lunged at him. Jake didn't think. He didn't plan. He just moved, and the crystal moved with him. A burst of light shot from his palm. It wasn't fire. It wasn't electricity. It was something else. Something ancient. The floor cracked. The attackers flew backward, crashing into the wall and crumpling like broken puppets. Jake stared at his hand. What the actual heck? His fingers were glowing, just like Sarai's. Then the crystal whispered in his mind. You've awakened. The map begins. Jake didn't wait. He packed fast. A few supplies. Water, a stun baton, and the memory core. No time for socks. He ran. The station was in full lockdown. Sirens wailed. The sky outside the dome had turned red. Not because of war, but because something huge was approaching. A ship. A ship, a predator, black, smooth, silent, like death had been shaped into a blade and sent to find him. He ran to Dock 13, the only hangar not yet sealed. Inside, an old cargo shuttle sat, cold and dusty, barely used, half functional, just like Jake. Perfect. He launched it without clearance. The hangar bay AI tried to stop him, but Jake yelled into the mic, "Override. I'm about to be vaporized by space ninjas." Not technically accurate, but effective. As the shuttle broke free of the station, the purifier ship opened. It didn't fire. It watched. Jake felt it staring at him like a spider deciding whether to pounce. Then, a new signal hit his console, encrypted. No origin. A single message. "We are coming. You cannot run from him." Jake's stomach sank. "Who's him?" That's when Sarai's voice came through his calm, but it wasn't her usual calm tone. It was shaking. "Jake, listen to me. They've sent the hunter. The real one. I didn't think they'd risk it, but they know now. They know you've activated." Jake leaned forward. "Where are you?" "I'm safe. For now. But he's not after me anymore. He's coming for you." Jake gulped. "Okay. I'm trying to stay brave, but I'm currently flying a microwave with wings. I don't exactly have space cannons." Sarai answered. "You don't need weapons. You are one." "Oh good," Jake muttered. "That's not terrifying at all." 2 hours later, Jake reached an old moon base hidden in the shadow of a gas giant. It wasn't on any star map. Not anymore. It was dark, silent, forgotten. Sarai's instructions had been clear. Land, go to the vault, and don't touch anything shiny without asking. Jake entered the base, flashlight flickering. Everything felt wrong, like the air hadn't been breathed in centuries. He passed long dead consoles, old banners, rusted doors, until he reached a metal vault door covered in alien symbols. The crystal pulsed. The door slid open. Inside was a room full of stasis pods, hundreds. Jake walked among them, confused. Inside each pod was a person, human, alien, some mixed, all sleeping. "Who are they?" Jake whispered. Then a voice answered. Not Sarai, a machine, a voice like stone, grinding against metal. The first failures. Jake spun around. And there he was, the hunter, not armor, not a suit. This thing was built from darkness itself, tall, expressionless. His eyes glowed red, like dying suns. "You open the map," the hunter said. "Now you carry the key." Jake raised the crystal. "Stay back, scary space Wolverine." The hunter didn't laugh. He didn't blink. "You are not worthy." Then he moved. Faster than anything Jake had ever seen. Jake dodged barely. The hunter's blade sliced through a wall like paper. Jake ran, leapt over consoles, dove behind a fallen pillar. His heart was pounding like a war drum. "Sarai, help would be great right about now," she answered, voice tense. "I'm coming, but you have to hold him. I'm trying not to die, thanks." The hunter raised his hand. Shadows crawled up the walls, forming weapons. Chains, hooks, blades. Jake shouted. "Why do all galaxy killers have personal drama?" He held up the crystal again. It pulsed once, then exploded with light. The pods around the room lit up. The sleepers began to wake. Sarai's voice returned, urgent. "You activated them." The first line. "The what now?" "They're like you. Prototypes. Early reclaimers. Some failed. Some succeeded. But they're bound to the gate signal." Jake ducked as a blade shot over his head. "Cool. Love that for me, but maybe send the fighter ones first?" Suddenly, one of the pods burst open. A woman stepped out, her eyes glowing white. She looked at Jake, then at the hunter. "No more running," she said. "This time, we fight." Another pod opened, and another. Jake grinned through the panic. "Okay, this just got awesome." The hunter stepped back, and for the first time, hesitated. The room lit up with energy. Old warriors, reborn. The first line. Awakened. Jake stood at the center of it all, the crystal hovering above his hand, and in that moment, he realized something terrifying. This wasn't the final battle. It was the beginning of a war he'd been born into lifetimes ago. The code in his blood. The first line was awake. Dozens of stasis pods hissed open around Jake. Men and women stepped out, each one glowing slightly, their eyes unfocused, their memories slowly returning. Some looked human, others, not quite. They were the prototypes, forgotten soldiers, abandoned experiments, just like him. Jake stood in the middle of them, holding the crystal like it was the last light in the galaxy, and across the room, the hunter watched, not attacking, not running, just studying like a scientist observing a specimen before dissection. "I don't get it," Jake whispered to Sarai, who had just arrived through a dimensional blink, panting and pale. "Why isn't he charging us again?" "Because he sees it," she said. "He knows." "Knows what?" Sarai looked at him, eyes wide. "That you're not a map anymore, Jake. You're the key itself." The first line surrounded Jake. One of them, a man with metal skin and blue fire in his eyes, spoke. "You carry the master code. The genetic seed." Jake blinked. "Seed? Like a tree?" "No," Sarai said. "Like the original design. The purest strand. The version before war. Before corruption." Jake stepped back. "Wait, are you saying I'm some kind of template?" "Yes," said the metal man. "We were made from your line. Your blood holds the core instructions. You are the last uncorrupted signal. That's why the gate will answer only to you." Jake rubbed his face. "I just wanted to fix vending machines and sleep in. Why does my blood have plot armor?" Sarai looked at him with something like pride. "Because you were never meant to be just one man. You were meant to be the reset." Suddenly, the vault trembled. An ancient console lit up at the far end of the room. It had never activated before. Sarai's eyes widened. "The memory archive." Jake approached it slowly. The console scanned his hand. Instantly, a soft chime played. "Access granted. Primogenitor match confirmed." Then, a hologram appeared. Not just an image but himself. A version of Jake, older, wearing white and silver armor, standing tall and calm. "If you're seeing this," the recording said, "then the failsafe has failed." Again, everyone went silent. "My name was Jake's original designation. Humanity Bridge 1. I was the first of the Reclaimers. Born not from Earth, but for it. Our creators made us from combined code, human resilience, alien precision, synthetic clarity. We were meant to protect the gate. But when the others came, those who feed on collapse, we had to erase all knowledge of it. To hide it, we hid ourselves." The image flickered. "If you've reawakened, it means the war has returned. And if the hunter is awake too, then the final lock is broken. You must find the cradle system. That is where the gate truly lies. But be warned, the cradle is protected by something even older than us. You must remember. You must complete the loop." The image faded. Silence. Jake exhaled. "Did I just send a voicemail to myself from 1,000 years ago?" "Not a voicemail," Sarai said. "A warning from your original self." Later, they regrouped in the base's central command room. Jake had the memory core plugged into the system, the crystal floating near him, humming softly like a heartbeat. The first line were talking quietly. Some of them seemed broken, others too afraid to hope. But a few were looking at Jake like he might just be the miracle they stopped believing in. Sarai sat beside him. "You okay?" "No," Jake said honestly. "But also, kinda yeah. I mean, I have powers. I'm apparently a genetic space dad. And I just watched myself give me instructions to save the universe. That's a Tuesday now, I guess." Sarai chuckled weakly. "You're adapting." Jake looked at her. "What happens if we do reach the cradle system?" She hesitated. "The gate activates. It could change everything. Wake forgotten species. Unlock lost tech. Maybe even time." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Wait, time?" She nodded. "Some believe it's not just a weapon. It's a choice, a reset, or a rewrite." He sat back, brain sizzling. "So either I save the galaxy or accidentally delete it like a corrupted save file." Sarai didn't answer, but her silence said everything. Suddenly alarms. One of the first line soldiers sprinted in. "We've got incoming. 2 ships, big ones. Corporate signatures, but modded, not friendly." Sarai's face paled. "They tracked the activation." Jake stood, instinct kicking in. "Can we fight them off?" "No, not here. Not with this many still waking." Then one of the first line stepped forward. A woman with gold skin and a deep scar across her cheek. "We'll hold them." Jake frowned. "You'll die." She smiled. "We already did." The others joined her, silent nods, grim resolve. Jake swallowed hard, then gave her the crystal. Take it, he said. Hide it. If they catch me, I don't want them finding it. She shook her head. No, you keep it, because this story only moves forward with you. As the ships descended, Jake and Sarai made their escape in a sleek craft hidden in the lower hangar. The first line stayed behind. As the base doors closed, Jake looked back. He'd just met them, and they were already dying for him. Sarai grabbed his arm gently. They chose this. For the first time in their lives, they chose something. Jake looked down at the crystal pulsing in his hand, and for the first time, he didn't feel small. He felt like something more. A key, a weapon, a beginning, and maybe a chance. Gatekeeper of the void. The stars looked different near the cradle system. They shimmered slower, almost hesitant, like even the universe was holding its breath. Jake Turner stared out from the cockpit window as the sleek black craft glided silently toward the ancient coordinates Sarai had pulled from the crystal. Below them, planet so dark, it looked like a hole in the galaxy. Not evil, not dead, just waiting. This is it, Sarai whispered beside him. The cradle, home of the gate. Jake nodded slowly, his hand resting on the crystal that pulsed softly in his palm. For some reason, it felt heavier today. They landed in silence.no welcoming committee.no defenses.no signs of life. Just a sprawling alien structure half buried in black sand. Pillars stretching miles into the sky. Symbols carved into the stone that shifted when you looked at them too long. The gate stood at the center, a ring the size of a small moon, floating above a pedestal of energy. It wasn't spinning. It was breathing. Jake stepped forward. His legs felt heavy, like the ground knew what was about to happen, and didn't agree. You ready? Sarai asked. No, Jake said honestly, but I've come this far. Can't turn back now. He raised the crystal, and the gate responded. It pulsed. Once, twice, then a voice echoed through the air, not in sound, but in memory. Ancient, layered, beautiful, and terrifying. Final bearer, you have returned. The line is intact. The blood is whole. The decision awaits. Jake stepped onto the platform. It rose to meet the ring. Sarai stayed behind watching. The gate showed him visions. 1,000 possible timelines. Worlds thriving. Worlds burning. Earth as a superpower. Earth forgotten. In one version, he saw himself leading armies. In another, he was gone, but humanity reached the stars anyway. The gate whispered again, you are not the future. You are the choice. Reclaim or release. Rewrite or remember. Jake blinked. What does that mean? One path restores the forgotten age, powers, unity, war. The other leaves it buried. You become the last, a gate closed forever, or open to all. Jake turned to Sarai, who now stood at the edge of the platform, watching with shining eyes. I can bring it all back, he said. All the tech, the knowledge, even time. She nodded slowly. Yes, but also the enemies, the war, the chaos. You'd be starting the cycle again. Jake's grip tightened. And if I don't, you remain the only one. The bloodline ends. The map closes. No more hunters. No more gates. No more reclaimers. He looked back at the ring. The power called to him. It promised everything. Then came the twist. A slow clap echoed across the chamber. Jake spun around. The hunter. Alive. Scarred. Laughing. You almost made it. The hunter said. You almost escaped. Jake raised his hand, but the crystal dimmed. I disabled the relay, the hunter said. The moment you opened the gate, it made contact. And I followed. Sarai stepped in front of Jake. Stay back. The hunter ignored her. Let him choose, he said. He was made to open it. Why? Jake asked. Why push so hard? Why chase me across the galaxy? The hunter finally told the truth. I was once like you, he said. A reclaimer, first generation. But I chose wrong. I opened the gate too early. I started a war that ended everything. He stepped closer. This is my punishment. To make sure no one repeats my mistake. Jake stared. So, all of this, you were trying to stop me? The hunter nodded. Because I saw the cost. And now, you must too. He dropped a data-core.it flashed a final timeline. A version where Jake opened the gate fully. Planets burned. Civilizations collapsed. Earth didn't rise, it was crushed. Jake fell back, shaken. Sarai knelt beside him. What do you want to do? He looked at her, then at the gate, then at himself, and finally, he understood. Jake stepped forward and placed the crystal in the heart of the gate. It lit up like a second sun. The voice returned. What is your command? Jake stood tall. I choose memory. The gate paused. Confirm? Jake nodded. Let them remember what we were, but not relive it. Let them learn. Let them choose differently. The ring slowed, and then it shattered. Not violently, but gently, like glass melting into light. The power dispersed into the stars. The map inside Jake's blood vanished. He looked at Sarai. It's done. She nodded. You chose peace. The hunter stepped back into shadow and smiled for the first time. Epilogue months later, Jake returned to Earth. No one knew what he'd done, but across the galaxy, dreams began to shift. Whispers of old knowledge stirred. Seeds were planted, but no gates would open again, not unless humanity was truly ready. Sarai stayed with him, not as a protector, not as a weapon, just as herself. And sometimes, when the stars aligned just right, they'd sit on the roof of his little apartment, watching space, wondering, what if?